So as it stands right now, the world's wealthiest countries have donated more than $2 trillion in foreign aid to the world's poor. Yet despite all of this, 2.8 billion people still struggle to survive every day. When I read that, it broke my heart. Obviously, our current approach is not really working. So when it comes to eradicating poverty, from your viewpoint, what do we need to change?
Well, really simply, we need to give work. We need to reorient our thinking about low-income people to move away from thinking of them as recipients of handouts and towards thinking of them as producers, as people who can actively contribute to the global economy. When we give work, we give so much more than a paycheck, although a paycheck really helps. We find that when low-income people, especially people living on less than $2 a day, receive living wages, they invest it in exactly the sorts of things we would want them to: healthcare, education, safe housing. Women reinvest 90% of their paychecks back into the household and community expenses. So it's the best development program in the world to give work. Beyond that, work is really at the core of human dignity. When we give work, we give people a chance to make something of themselves, to have a career path, to have long-term prospects, and really to exercise the sort of agency that we in the developed world appreciate, but that if you're living on $2 a day, that you're really deprived of.
So we have folks in our audience who are both entrepreneurs and some who are not entrepreneurs. If they want to get in the game and help eradicate extreme poverty, which I am with you, I believe we can do it in our lifetimes. I think we can do it in our generation. What are some recommendations that you would have?
Okay, so the first thing is obviously give work, right? And if you are an entrepreneur, you can build a social enterprise component into your business by hiring people from marginalized backgrounds. For example, we have so many amazing organizations here in the U.S. that do that. In San Francisco, the Delancey Street Foundation is really known for an amazing restaurant that operates and hires people coming out of prison to work in the restaurant. So you are actively addressing the mass incarceration problem in California if you patronize that restaurant, right? Awesome. So as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, you can source your, Christmas cookies from Delancey Street's Cafe. We have a number of social enterprises, over 500 of those here in the U.S. in probably every major city. And so you can build that component into your business, or you can source from a business like that. And if you're working at a bigger company, we've built something called the Give Work Guide at givework.org, which lists social enterprises around the world that actively reverse poverty by giving work. Wow. Everything from fair trade coffee brands that are employing low-income people and paying fair wages in the supply chain, to local cafes like I mentioned the Delancey Street restaurant, or Homeboy Industries is another favorite in LA.
Yes.
And these are companies that are addressing poverty at the root by giving work. And when we give work, we not only prevent problems like mass incarceration, because people are not likely to reoffend if they have a good job and they're paid fairly. The biggest driver of people going back into prison is unemployment and lack of economic opportunity, right? So we're stopping that whole cycle. And we're also creating investment, a trickle-up effect in low-income communities. When people take home a paycheck, they're spending that money on the local tailor or the local butcher or the local baker. And that creates a more vibrant community-based economy in low-income places. So I think it's the single best thing to do, to give work, either get your company to source from these types of vendors, or to give work yourself as an entrepreneur, or volunteer at a social enterprise.